Hello, how are you? It's Sunday, November 23rd, 2025. Yesterday would be the anniversary of the Kennedy assassination. Incorrectly on yesterday's show said that today would be, but no, of course, that was November 22nd. I'm just losing my mind. I was recording yesterday at 4 in the morning and I wasn't firing on all cylinders. Well, looking at some books I've gotten recently, I this little kitten's running around. I've got to give her some antibiotics as soon as she materializes. Oh, there she is. Okay. Here she is. The kitten. Okay. You stay here, man. Yeah, she has some blood in her urine, so there we've got her on I'm not very good at this. I've been trying to catch her for the last half hour. I'm listening to David Wilcock talking about how the Arthur C. Clarke book Rendezvous with Rama might have been government disclosure for this three-eye atlas thing, is what they're saying, that Arthur C. Clarke was actually disseminating things that were true in his, like in 2001, that there actually are alien artifacts on the moon. And anyway, what's spooky though is if you look on the back of the 2001 A Space Odyssey movie soundtrack, you see an astronaut holding a tablet that looks exactly like those tablets of today. Or I don't know if people use tablets anymore, but okay, now I've got it all measured, but where's the kitten? Where'd you go, kitten?
Naming it Rama after the Hindu god. Space probe revealing it is a perfectly smooth cylinder, 31 miles
Where did she go?
miles in diameter, indicating it was constructed by
Cats everywhere, man.
beings. 31439. Are you kidding me? You guys get it right. This is amazing. I mean, what are the odds that this could have?
Come on, kitten.
That's a coincidence. And again, okay, 3i, the third interstellar object, right? But
it's hot in here, man. It's cold outside. Well, I don't know. It's cold and it's hot. It's hot and it's cold.
Now and find it out when that's right. Star Trek 4 is another great example. Cylindrical ship that was contacting whales on Earth. Star Trek 4, again, probably based on Rendezvous with Rama, lightly or gently, or maybe Star Trek 3, somebody just said. But that's the point.
Okay.
This is a very, very fascinating connection. That it was actually called 31439. I mean, wow. And so, believe it or not, the German version of Rendezvous with Rama was actually called Rendezvous mit 31439. You can see the page right here, the cover of the book. Actually,
there he is.
I took a few images of this on Google, based on these two books. I mean, how incredible. So again, let's read that just to be clear. An asteroid strikes Italy in 2077. So it starts out with this idea of asteroids hitting the Earth, doom and gloom type of stuff. And again, this three-eye atlas has been framed as a threat, been framed as something that could hurt us. It's pretty freaking wild, isn't it?
Come on, man.
So then in 2077, we get hit by an asteroid, and they create the Space Guard system to track potentially hazardous objects in space.
Oh my gosh.
Later, 2109, they detect an interstellar object entering our solar system.
Drew, I don't need your help.
31439.
Okay.
I mean, holy crap, guys. 3i Atlas.
No, it's okay.
3i 439 and 439. I'm not sure if the number is significant. I did a little bit of searching on
Success.
Very, very interesting. Before naming it Rama after the Hindu god.
All right, I'll go put this back in the refrigerator. Today I noticed that my planter fasciitis, the causes agonizing pain in my feet, plantar fasciitis, whatever it's called. Man, I didn't even hardly even notice it. Until I realized that I wasn't. That I noticed I wasn't having the. It's like, well, I mean, it's not. I'm not saying it's 100% cured, but I've been wearing those for, I don't know, several weeks. I was recommended these shoes called Hoka from Charlton66, who's a great YouTube comic book collector, genius.
How amazing the Noah's Ark connection, the idea that
He told me on the phone that's how he's conquered the problem, and his friends of my wife and I, they live in, where do they live now? They live in Arkansas, I believe. They moved to Arkansas from Austin. They have the same problem, and they've conquered it with these shoes called Hoka, Hoka. So if you're walking around like Frankenstein, maybe try out those shoes, man. This is a magazine called Monster Bash. Well, I often disparage today and the lack of good music coming out today, but there is good music if you know where to look. And now you can create your own music. Right? Talking to the cat. Through Suno.com, man, I've been having fun doing that. But yeah, there's some good music coming out. It's just the new generation, the Generation Z, they're not really into music. That's not something that's a big part of their lives. They're more into video games and TikTok, and music is not something they think a great deal about. Maybe music in little 5-second bursts. But movies aren't very good today, but there's good stuff coming out. There's a lot of good stuff coming out, and there's a lot. Believe it or not, there's good magazines coming out, and a few good comics. But anyway, Monster Bash harkens back to the great days of the late 50s through the mid 70s, when these monster magazines were important for people like me, monster kids. This is an older issue of Monster Bash, not the current one that's on the stands. But I recently obtained this from Gotham City Comics. I guess I'm going to be making an order soon from him. Hopefully soon. I've got to coordinate things. I know my wife's going to be getting a birthday present for me from there. Okay, so this is quite old. There's an ad on the back for a monster convention from 2012, summer of 2012. Man, 2012. That seems, it wasn't that long ago, but it seems like a million years. All the stuff we've gone through, the COVID-19, all the horrible Biden presidency, all these things. Man. So anyway, this convention happens, where does it happen? Pennsylvania. Yeah, I don't know. Pennsylvania is, and the East Coast is apparently where you've got to go. It's to find monster toys, and I just can't believe this convention. They had Julie Adams. They had Bird Eye Gordon there, the son of Ghoul, at Tom Savini there, Martina Beswick, Arch Hall Jr., Richard Keel, Conrad Brooks. The last time I went to a horror convention in Dallas, it was called the, what was it called? Frightmare Weekend, something like that. It was just a bunch of people into Freddy Krueger and Pinhead, and just into the slasher Saw kind of stuff. But to go to a convention where people are into the classic stuff. Now, the character on the cover People, there's a certain number of people that will identify him as the guy that's on the Misfits records. But Glenn Danzig took him from, Famous Monsters Filmland magazine, or from seeing it on television, and it was a movie serial called The Crimson Ghost. So this is color accurate. He's supposed to have a red hood and cloak and cape. Of course, the movie's in black and white, so you really can't, it looks black, and of course he's on the cover of all the Misfits records, and of course it's black, like in the old photographs. So there's a small amount of cool people that know him as the Crimson Ghost, and there's a much bigger group of people that know him as the Misfits skeleton guy. But that's not a giant group of people. I mean, if you went in the average mall, there would be maybe 15 people, maybe, that know him from the Misfits, and probably zero people in that whole mall that know him as the Crimson Ghost. So I respect, people that know him for the Misfits, but deep respect if you know him as the Crimson Ghost. This magazine's well done. It evokes Famous Monsters, of course. It's got the font and everything, and it knows what it's doing. It's got ads in the back. This is a reproduction of an old ad. It tells you that at the top. Advertising Art History Department. That's a great ad. I've never seen this ad in my life. Look at that. Mad Monster. It's fantastic. See, I really should have what? See, you could get a DVD with all the highlights of the 2011 convention. Why don't I have these things? For years, this was a magazine you could only find in Barnes & Noble. And I tried to avoid going in malls. After, I loved the mall in the 70s and early 80s when there were arcades, and the mall, Forum Mall and Six Flags Mall, at toy stores and movie theaters, and they were the places to be. But later they just became horrible places where, and I would avoid them, and I didn't, and Barnes & Noble was this, oh, wow. This is something I've been, whoever brought Famous Monsters of Filmland back, they brought it back, and it was like a $25 magazine book, and it didn't really look like Famous Monsters inside, but that's a pretty good cover there of the cover by Bill Selby of the Cantina patrons. But this one is an alternate cover, and I've been aware of this for a couple of years. This is an alternate cover of issue 260. That's the real cover, and this alternate cover of John Carter is done by San Julian. And it looks like it's got a whole bunch of articles on Edgar Rice Burroughs. But yeah, I've got to look that up. So here's the ad with back issues for Monster Bash. And they still sell back issues and magazines we grew up with. And of course, Castle of Frankenstein. Does it show the Monster Times? All these magazines that just... Yeah, well, the Monster Times was more of a 1970s phenomenon. What they're showing here is 1960s baby boomer magazines. The Monster Times doesn't get the credit it deserves. Doesn't get the credit. That's right. I said that correctly. Fantastic magazine. Monster Bash. Yeah. Okay.
could actually have a
I
blue beam type fake alien invasion and base it on this idea of a craft like Rama. 31438.
Oh, hey, you know something? Have
Melody
you
Love,
seen
and thank you very much for that.
the other day?
Celebrating your first
President Trump was on Air Force One, and there were reporters barraging him with questions about
and my phone, this show.
Epstein. I keep wanting to say Juan Epstein.
You said that. Thank you very, very much.
That was used to be the.
He also
If someone said Epstein, the first thought would come into my mind would be Juan Epstein from Welcome Back, Kotter. Now he's been eclipsed by this creepy Herman Munster-looking pervert that. But anyway, of course, Trump saw him at parties and socialized with him because they were fellow billionaires in Florida, and they, wound up at the same places. Trump kicked him out of Mar-a-Lago, banned him, and went to the police with what he knew about him back then. And so people wanted to say, but you knew him, and there was a girl that Epstein was trying to bring in, and that worked for Trump at his resort. And so Trump went and interviewed her for like an hour. It's like, what happened? Tell me what this creep was doing. I need to know this because we're going to get rid of this guy. And so now the other side's saying, releasing these pages that have the name of the victim blacked out that say Trump spent an hour with this girl. And then when they find out, oh, this page has already been released with the name there, and this girl has been in court and said there was absolutely nothing. So it's all bullshit. But anyway, they were questioning Trump, and this reporter named Peggy something was saying, but what about the girls, Mr. Trump, or whatever? And he says, listen. No, he didn't say listen. He says, quiet, Peggy. And so they put it out. Oh my gosh, Donald Trump called a female reporter, a piggy. And if you say he said quiet piggy, it sounds like piggy to you when you watch the recording. It sounds like he's saying quiet piggy. But no, he's saying Peggy, and he's got a New York accent. And now watch it again on YouTube or wherever you get your information, and you'll hear Peggy. And her name was Peggy, and they all knew that that's what he was saying. But I thought it was hilarious that he did. I believe that he was calling her Piggy, and I thought that was actually pretty funny. But apparently he wasn't calling her that. I even wrote a song called Quiet Piggy, and you'll hear it on my next radio broadcast. But now it turns out it's false information, so I regret writing the song. But it's still a great song, Quiet Piggy. Yeah, because that's sometimes you just got to tell piggies to be quiet, or people named Peggy. Let's get the next book, man. And I'm walking across the floor, and I'm not in as much pain. It's really great.
Shock everybody. So it could very well be that these spaceships do exist, that they're out there, and that's part of the ancient history of our solar system. They never mention the Alliance in any of these shows, of course not, because they're working against this group. There's no mention of anything positive
Now.
in the UFO cover-up. However, if you go back to your fundamentals, this book came out, I believe.
Of course, you know the sacred timeline. In 1957, Universal released some of their horror films from the 30s and 40s to local television stations as a syndicated package called Shock Theater. And individual stations that bought Shock Theater, like Ken's TV in San Antonio, or KTVT and Channel 11 in the Fort Worth, Dallas area, they would get the local weatherman or someone from the news department that looked a little creepy or was kind of funny to come in and be the horror host on Saturday night to introduce the horror movie. And that's where the horror movie host tradition began, that's now perpetuated on MeTV for baby boomers and people that like that stuff with Svengoolie. But anyway, with Shock Theater, a huge fad started, monster fad, that, man, I don't even know if you could call it a fad, because it kept going through into the 50s, all through the 1960s, and it went all the way up to 1977 when Star Wars and the space stuff eclipsed the monster craze. But people still love those classic monsters. And, it was just, famous monsters of Filmland hit the market. And the Monster Mash by Bobby Boris Pickett was all over the radio. And then that in early 60s, and that song came back in 1973 as a #1 hit again. But so there were a lot of monster magazines, and this was one of them. This is Castle of Frankenstein. Now I have all the Castle of Frankenstein, so I recently purchased this one from Kevin Johnson at Gotham City Comics, because when I was doing a show recently going over my Castle of Frankensteins, I pulled my copy of Castle of Frankenstein out of the bag and realized it was in horrible condition. It was just embarrassingly bad. Sometimes you hold a book in your hand and you just want to wash your hands after you handle it. It was owned by a kid 50, 60 years ago that picked their nose and ate their boogers, that kind of horrible kid. The thing about Castle of Frankenstein is it covered comics, and it covered TV shows like Star Trek, and it even, covered old pulps. It ranged farther than just monsters of Filmland. It dealt with monsters all through our culture, and that's a great thing. And then the Monster Times that started in 1972, this started about 1960. But look, it's issue number 11, and it started in 1960, maybe 59. And it's only on issue 11, and Star Trek is on. And Star Trek, of course, started in 66, right? So this is probably I would imagine this is 1967 here. So obviously it didn't come out that often to have gone 7 years and only get 11 issues out. This is 1967.
You hear people like Representative Anna Paulina Luna saying that, Representative Tim Burchett, he's saying that.
Yeah. This is Hannes Bach, who's a pulp illustrator. The thing about when I get my eye surgery, man, it's a week from tomorrow. It'll help, because the print is very small in Castle of Frankenstein, but that's to get more information in there. Sometimes this guy would go a year and a half between issues, so there's a lot of stuff he had to cram in there. And Famous Monsters never really covered hardly at all Star Trek when it was on the air, but this magazine did. So this issue has another audience that would seek this out, which is Star Trek fans. See these little capsule reviews, Frankenstein mini reviews. Later it would be in the back of the magazine. They're just little blurbs, little paragraph reviews of movies like Movie Star American Style, or LSD I Hate You, Murderer's Row, Stop Cat. That's not the name of a movie, Stop Cat, little kitten scratched my leg. Fahrenheit 451, The Brides of Fu Manchu, The Blood Drinkers. These reviews in here are what inspired Michael Weldon in with his Psychotronic Encyclopedia of Film to do the little reviews. And then later he had his own magazine that was great in the late 80s and through the 90s. Wow. See, here is a whole feature on Jim Steranko. Look at Jim Steranko there in 1967, looking like it's 1946. Really interesting guy. Yeah.
saying that the particulates in our atmosphere were partly
And then I'm glad I,
block these types
this is why
scalar type of stuff.
I turned the page and it's an article on The Brides of Fu Manchu, the Christopher Lee movie. But there's several pictures of, I guess, some of the brides of Fu Manchu that aren't wearing much clothing. And so this magazine,
Thank you, David, for all your guidance. All the until lately, but he's happy to hear that he's better. Sorry that he's
I guess, was aimed at a little bit older audience, college age, high school age. Look at this 2-page spread. Looks like a pre-production painting from the Time Machine.
throughout the entire thing. A variety of them actually only show up really once.
Fantastic.
Because there's just so many that are crammed.
Okay, this is really what I was talking about, the Frankenstein TV movie guide. These little reviews. So what Michael Walden did is he started doing the same thing, and he would put out this little digest-sized fanzine in New York. It was local, with reviews of all the monster, horror, exploitation movies coming up on television in the New York market, so that it was like a little TV guide for people like us. And then he later took a lot of those reviews from his fanzine and compiled them into the Psychotronic Encyclopedia film. He took that name from a movie called The Psychotronic Man. And then he had calendars, and he had his own magazine. He was, for a while. Now he still has a little record store in New York, where I'm sure he sells movie memorabilia and stuff. I've never been to it. They, have these cool ad mats. So for the newspaper, one day it would be like that. The next day in the newspaper, you'd see that ad. Then the next day that, until you had the full ad the next day. Little clever things to do in the newspaper. That's how you used to know what movies were coming out. I used to be so exciting on Friday to open the newspaper to see what are the new movies. And because there was no internet, you either looked in the newspaper to see what movies were out. Maybe you saw an ad or heard a radio spot, a commercial on the radio, or you called up the phone and listened to the recording at your local movie theater to see what was out. Here's a review of Witsend, and then there's an ad for Witsend right after the review of it, which was Wally Wood's self-published fanzine. Oh, here's a picture. Look at this illustration by Reed Crandall of John Carter fighting a Thark, one of the Green Martians. Yeah, I'm so glad to have a copy that's not all beat up of this particular issue. Now, this was a very wonderful arrival a few days ago. And these are all the issues of Castle of Frankenstein up to this point, and it finally gave up the ghost, I'd say around 1974. Not long after The Exorcist came out, this magazine left the building, but it's been brought back. It's currently being published, and they're doing quite well with it. But it's never going to be as great as it was in the 60s and into the 70s. This guy here, Calvin T. Beck, executive editor and publisher. And then, of course, you've got Bob Stewart, the editor and designer, and that's very important, too, because the designer of these magazines is very important. Of course, Famous Monsters of Filmland had that great production design, that logo that is another thing that Glenn Danzig took to be the logo for the Misfits. Anyway, Calvin Beck was a friend of Robert Bloch, the writer of the book Psycho, and everyone in their circle of friends knew that Norman Bates was really more Calvin Beck, the editor and publisher of this magazine, than it was Ed Gein, because in the book Psycho, which is necessarily wasn't exactly followed by Hitchcock, Norman Bates is kind of like this little intellectual guy that reads these philosophers and satanic, those people that read all that stuff.
This is one of the most
They
interesting.
get into Aleister Crowley and anyway, let's see what else I've got here.
When he became the CIA director, he later found out that there were a number of craft.
I wanted to go through a bunch of war comics upstairs. I don't know if I'm going to get to that today. I just don't know.
Dr. Davis's private communication. One event took place at Holloman Air Force Base in 1964.
Okay, another book I got is Vampirus Carmilla number 23. This is a lot of the things that make me happy are people putting out magazines and comics and music that evokes the 50s, 60s, and maybe early 70s. Because those were much better time periods for music, comics, movies, just about everything.
Interacted with uniformed Air Force and civilian CIA personnel. When he wanted more information, he did not have a need to know.
So most of the new comics I get are reprints, facsimiles, fake versions of old comics.
Roswell was eel-shaped, broke into two pieces, and had what looked like hybrid.
Okay, this magazine's been put out for a while. It's they have back issue department on the back, which I might have to utilize. Because they don't. Diamond doesn't exist anymore. Diamond distributing, and that's how comic stores were getting these. So I got this from Kevin, but now he can't get it anymore. I was at a Barnes & Noble's about an hour from here not long ago, and they had the latest issue, but every copy was beaten up very badly. And these are very fragile magazines, so even, see, it's very easy for it to be damaged. It's put out by the same people that put out Shudder. Shudder is an attempt to look like the old creepy magazine, and this, of course, is made to look like the old Vampirella. The artwork inside is this is not bad art. It's pretty good. The art is by Mikhail Bergovist. Probably, I'm not trying to be funny, but that's probably a Ukrainian artist. And the story's by Don Glut. Don Glut used to write for Gold Key. He created characters like Dagar, or Dagger, however it's pronounced, and Dr. Spectre, and but he also wrote for Warren magazines back in the old days, in the 70s. So that he's an actual alumni, and they bring him in to edit, to proofread every issue of this. So it's see, he's kind of meant to look like Uncle Creepy, as close as they can make him look. 2-page spread advertisement from the daughters of Frank Frazetta.
Cold War style arms race between countries to reverse engineer this technology. A lot more about the theories of the physics.
See, they have a Vampirus Carmilla fan club card and button that is just almost exactly like the old Vampirella. Very interesting. And I don't know. I don't know if this is just an ad bought in here. This is the new Castle of Frankenstein done by new people. And there's a shirt you could. Oh, I'd like to get that shirt. I don't know if. I don't think that the people that put this out. I think they probably just know each other and advertise. It's people. If things are horrible around you, if Taylor Swift is popular, if everything that's idiotic is loved. TikTok culture. Well, you can sit around and grumble and complain about it, or you could get out and do something about it. I figure I'm doing something about it with this show, and creating my own music, but maybe that's not enough. These people are actually going out there and creating new stuff that's cool, like the old stuff. Whether this will be a successful experiment, will all these wonderful things be around in 5 years? I don't know. Let's see how the economy goes. I'm supposed to be getting $2,000 checks soon. I don't know when or what. It's I'm just hoping that this is the. Ooh, I'm hoping this is the. This is not good. In printing, these pages are sealed together. You ever have this happen? This happened to me with a Russ Cochran hardcover edition. I guess I've got to use a blade for this. Yeah, every time. I was gonna open it, but it opens this way. I was about to just slice open things. Yeah, I mean, this is not big time publishing. Oh, it's done several times in the magazine. It's more than a few pages. Oh boy. What do you guys do? Do you ever have this happen? Let's see if I can fix this without. Gotta do it. I'll bring the camera down. Oh, maybe not that quickly. Sorry. Don't want to make you seasick. There was a number of craft retrievals since the mid-1940s, and Baskin is very aware that this exists. He disclosed the encounter, not Holloman Air Force Base, as being truthful. 3 UAPs approached non-humanity debarked craft. I don't know if there's a way to fix this, or it's going to be pretty. So here again, the alliance in this form of the general. Notice they don't even want to mention the. Why am I having to do this? And this paper is very very thin. Okay, I guess I fixed it, but then there's another group of pages that are sealed. This is the kind of thing that would kind of like the old pulps, you know, where all the pages were ragged and uneven. But what's up with UFOs now being called UAPs? That's a bunch of garbage. Well, it doesn't look perfect, but it's the only way I was going to be able to read Return from the Domain of the Dead. Art by Nick Poloko. This is interesting art. Anyway, that was actually pretty cool. This is some art from the thing. Those are what the craft apparently actually looked like when they landed. And so this is the actual interview in that video. Letter page looks very much like Warren. One of the craft landed, the other 2 went away. He said, "Why did it land?" The host did. Anyway, just another magazine like that just. I'd rather get it from a comic store where if the books are damaged in transit, they're able to return them and get new copies, as opposed to Barnes & Noble. Their copies were so damaged. It was one with a black cover, and it had a beautiful San Julian cover of Vampirist Carmilla with her bat wing spread or something, and it just was all damaged on every copy and like real bad. And I don't know if it's just some employee of Barnes & Noble is like, "Oh, look at this sexist trash. I'm just gonna shove it down like the trash that it is." or if it was damaged in transit, but it very well could have been given the, I'll crumple it up, treatment by a blue-haired social justice warrior. But who knows? So.
Beverly Adams donated and said, my hubby and I have organized many conferences, seminars, and workshops. If you ever want help organizing an in-person event, hit us up. Thank you, Beverly, very much.
Well, I've got to get my surgery a week from tomorrow. I've got to rely on someone I know to help to drive me there and drive me back, and he says he'll do it, but I haven't talked with him since Halloween, so I've got to text him, because if he forgets or something, I've got to be in contact with him more often, because everything hinges on him, and that makes me kind of nervous. I'm not used to being reliant on others like that. And they're not even going to tell me the time of the surgery until the day before, is what they say.
So moments before a nuclear war situation. Wow. Again, framing them very negatively, whereas I believe the alliance comes out of this group, and they're doing a lot for us. So some of the UAV activity in space specifically,
okay.
engineered technology. So there have been
Let's keep looking at recent arrivals.
I'll just give you a couple highlights here before we jump into the next thing.
Only one way out of the only one way out of the bullet-hot battlefields of South Vietnam. Choppers, the only hope. A Vietnam comic book. Jungle War stories. They're still treating the Vietnam War the way wars were treated traditionally in comics and movies. The gung-ho World War II way, and this is very early 60s. In fact, this is not the first issue of this book, but this is one of the first times that the Vietnam War is depicted in comics. Yeah, this is from July, September 1963. So, if that's the case, July, September, that's interesting. So, I imagine this came out around April of 63. We're talking about 7 months before Kennedy was assassinated. A lot of people believe that Kennedy was one of the reasons he was assassinated was over this war, because Kennedy didn't really want to get full-fledged into this war, and other people did, and so they got him out of the way. And so when Trump talks about making America great again, America was great in the 50s. And I think the Kennedy assassination was a gut punch to the country, and then the plunge into the Vietnam War, and then a lot of things that happened in the LBJ administration just kind of pulled us out and into about the time I was born, the country started to go in a spiral down the bathtub drain, and it's been going down ever since. So, but my father was in the Vietnam War and the Korean War, and this is this is an interesting historical artifact.
Say we are not alone in the universe, so they're really pushing him, trying to get him going, make him say that this is
there's
technology of non-human origin,
forces out there that are aligned with evil, that are want to bring our society down, and This is a great ad. 100 toy soldiers, $1.25. They come in this Foot Locker. This ad actually has a photograph of them, and you can see that they're flat. They're not three-dimensional. The figures are flat. And anyway, this is a Dell comic. I think this is right about the time Gold Key came along, and Gold Key split away from. Man, what are you guys doing? Oh, the cat is creating havoc. My gosh. You're crazy, Mr. Cat. He's not a Mr. She's a she. But half the time she's called Charlie and half the time Charlotte. Apparently she has two names. As we initially thought it was a guy. Okay, so Dell and Gold Key never had the comics code approval because they considered themselves to be above that fray, that they were not ever guilty of the rotting corpses coming from the grave or the true crime story type comics. So they just, these comics slid by. Okay. This is a book that I already owned, and I bought it because I'm insane. It's a facsimile of Sabrina the Teenage Witch #1. It's not her first appearance. She first appeared in Madhouse, Archie's Madhouse comics, but it's the first issue of her ongoing series. And I have a real one, but this is a facsimile, and I like to get facsimiles of books that I actually own because there's something interesting. I don't know. It makes me feel like I'm somebody, man. Like I finally arrived. Like some of my comics are so collectible that they're making fake versions. No, really, it's just insane. But the thing about what Archie's doing, originally this would have said. I don't know that it said 12 cents. I think it was a 15-cent comic. I could be wrong on that. Looking at the ads, I would say it was a 15-center. But the thing is, they do a pretty good job with the reproduction, but it's on slick paper. It is interesting to see these vintage ads on slick paper. And you just dream that comics still look like this, that you could pick up a new comic, print it on this paper with artwork like this today. It is possible. There are people that can draw this well. It wouldn't sell to most people, but look at this great stuff. Because most people want this stuff that looks all digital. Now, sometimes, like this ad isn't reproduced that well because they had to photograph it from an existing comic, but looks like they probably have the existing original artwork for these stories. That's either that or they're able to do some digital manipulation, shot off the original comics. I don't know. Yeah. Very, very cool. Sabrina the Teenage Witch. This should be available in your local comic store, possibly. Or it's still available at cover price from somewhere, eBay, wherever you get your stuff. Also, I think came out the same week was another Archie facsimile, Betty and Veronica #40. And it's from January of 1959. Now this one I do not own the original copy of, and he was giving me a fascinating and robust story which I first heard about in 2014. So we're gonna start with ancient past. So great. An ad for roller skates. This is a term that I've been hearing since at least, I guess,
2003
You see,
would have been the first time I heard that particular term mentioned.
when kids went roller skating
Elder race,
and
this is nothing new.
went to sock hops
A lot of different insiders.
and read EC Comics and Mad Magazine and listened to Little Richard and Gene Vincent, those were great days. And read comics like this, as opposed to staring at a phone or TikTok. Oh, my wife's calling. I better go see what she's up to. Anyway, this is Betty and Veronica. Yeah, my wife's calling and I'm recording on my phone, so I can't answer. Look at that. Silver skull ring. Oh, I lost my wedding ring last week. I looked down at my finger and my wedding ring was not on my hand. Now it was, but then the next day I found that it was by the door of the house. I was getting some ice packs out, some meals we ordered, and I guess it slid off. So I guess my finger's getting skinnier, man. I feel like, remember, didn't that happen at the beginning of the Incredible Shrinking Man? His wedding ring fell off. That was one of the first things when he realized he was shrinking. It was horrifying. I'll be right back. Let me go talk to my wife.
It's probably a thing prior to worship, but again, the corruption is now done. That is
Here's the thing.
For the first.
All right. My wife had her lunch break from work. She works from the house by phone, so I went up and spent it with her, but every few minutes, if I left this in pause, it would eventually shut itself off after that amount of time. So every few minutes I would unpause it and then pause it again. That's why you were seeing little. That was just my crude attempt to keep the show going, man. I don't want the fun to end. We're opening up comic books and magazines on this beautiful, I assume it's beautiful, Sunday afternoon. The sun was out earlier. It's it's 4 o'clock in the evening. I guess the sun's about to go down. Yeah. Oof. Okay, hold on. Okay, maybe we can. Oh, gotta get more comics. What are you barking at? She's barking at people out there, I see. Wait, that was a message from my wife. I don't know what that said. Oh, boy. Okay, my wife was wanting to know if, when she gets off work, whether we should watch this Guillermo del Toro's Frankenstein, which would keep us up to like 10:30 tonight, or whether we should watch an episode of Wednesday, which is a show I don't like, but, you know, I don't like it. But Frankenstein, we've only seen about 3 minutes of it so far. But I would like to watch it, but thing is, I'm sleepy. I'm always sleepy, and it might be because have this condition with my eyes. I don't know, or whatever. And whenever I fall asleep during something, she thinks I'm doing it on purpose because I'm bored by the show, and it's like, no, it's just a curse, man. I'm always sleepy. Maybe it's because, I'm 13 years older than her, so getting old. But I don't know, man. Yeah, I'll watch Guillermo del Toro's Frankenstein, but she's thinking maybe since we're both tired, we should just watch one episode of Wednesday. I hope I don't fall asleep during that and hurt her feelings, but it's not a good representation of the Addams family, in my opinion. There is a Dr. Orloff in Wednesday, played by Christopher Lloyd. We've already seen half the season, but now it's been so long since we watched it, she wants to go back and watch the first episode again. And it's like, man, the character of Wednesday has no character arc, there's no progression. it's just not an interesting character. She's a very unappealing person. Her The whole Addams family that were so joyous and fun in the 1960s TV show, they're all colossally boring people in this. Christopher Lloyd plays just a head in a jar named Dr. Orloff. But I did it first. Okay, so we're back to comic books. I don't need to wear these. I don't know. I'm real sensitive to light, but it's mainly fluorescent light I'm bothered by. Well, I got an issue of Classics Illustrated featuring stories by the world's greatest authors. It's the adventures of Marco Polo, but they don't mention the author, even though he's one of the world's greatest ones. Marco Polo. This is probably from like an edition from about 1970, judging by this. And yeah, some of these have thick stock covers. This one has a thick, like a coloring book. This is from, no, well, yeah. They mark it 1947, but yeah, no, this is a reprint with and this is the actual 1947 artwork, which this seems to be the key event that bridges the gap between the ancient builder race, so-called, and more modern. So yes, indeed. So this is what it says with a new cover, newly painted cover. Some Classics Illustrated books are interesting to read. Here's a Whitman variant of Underdog, number, I don't know what number. I'm assuming it's number 8 based on this on the back, which looks like, is that mycomicshop.com? Maybe not. I really need a bag. I need to put a new bag and board on this this sucker. So, Thanksgiving coming up in a few days. So, a lot to give thanks for. Interesting. These are t-shirt transfers, it looks like. Some of these are like old Houdini posters. This company looks like they're trying to get these old World War I type posters. This would be mid-70s, August 76. Interesting. Yeah, there was a big nostalgia boom in the 70s for, the 30s. Laurel and Hardy posters. This is a way you can... Frankenstein, Dracula posters, Elvis, John Wayne, Wolfman, Raquel Welch, King Kong. The bicentennial, man. 50 years ago. I don't know what happened. There's going to be a huge... Trump was going to have a big, huge, like, World's Fair kind of thing in Des Moines next year. I haven't heard anything about it lately. To celebrate the 250th birthday of the country. I was around for the 200th birthday. I was in 5th grade. And the end of 6th grade. I'm sorry. Beginning of, end of 5th grade, beginning of 6th grade was the bicentennial year. So, I remember the bicentennial moment, and Bicentennial Minute, whatever they had on TV, where they told what happened on this day during that year, and the Bicentennial Train, Freedom Train, or whatever came to Tacoma. We went on a field trip to see it. So during the bicentennial year, Underdog was over at Gold Key. This is a Whitman variant, so that means it was sold in 3-packs. Wherever coloring books were sold, you could get comics in 3-packs with this over the Gold Key. I about a year ago, I thought I need to give new comics a shot. And I put at least more than a handful of new comics in my whole pile, and some of them I haven't gotten since. And I really need to start getting more. Like this one, it's been in my whole pile since not this Christmas, but last Christmas. And I thought, well, DC superheroes and Santa Claus, maybe it'll be good. I was thinking, well, you know, maybe I should give these new books a shot. And so I'll read this and see. But so much has happened in the last year. I was so excited there for a while about the James Gunn Superman movie. I really loved the movie when it came out. I mean, I really did. And then I saw the Peacemaker show, and one by one, characters from the Superman movie appeared in the Peacemaker show, talking about things I can't even talk about on the show, and NC-17, close to X-rated scenes, in a movie that is meant to be the direct follow-up to the Superman movie. And I just got very disenchanted by the whole thing and what James Gunn's doing. I can look at something and tell when it's wrong and when it's evil. And when you take a movie that kids watch and then you have it followed up by something like that, that's not right. Okay, well, this was given to me free. Kevin said, I just can't, I'll just give this to you free, the conditions. But it was an issue of Conan the Barbarian that I needed. But, you know, I would rather have comics in better condition than this, but it would be either this condition or I wouldn't be able to read the story because I don't have this issue. So this is one of those books that was owned by someone that probably picked their nose, you know, see the little booger stain. Oh, that's the one that changed my life, that Treasury edition. Before that, I was just strictly into monster and horror comics. And I guess I thought, well, that's kind of a monster, the Thing, right? So I tried out this Treasury edition, and I fell in love with the Marvel superheroes. And that was right as I was leaving 3rd grade, going into 4th grade. That's when it all happened. Before that, I was reading Conan the Barbarian occasionally, but superhero comics didn't really quite grab me yet. And then I got into it full-fledged, and then for a few years, and then I think by the late 70s, the Marvel comics I didn't think were as good. They were starting to peter out. Some pages that are dog-eared here. But that's all right. We'll always have the Silver Age and the beginning of the Bronze Age, won't we? I think I still have my switchblade comb. I just don't know where it is. Everybody seems to have one. That's really weird. This is
Name and no numbers, but if it's not original, then you get the number. Okay, so I guess that just means they want to know exactly who you are.
from October of 75. So this came out in August of 75. I know where I was in August of 75. I was moving into this big old house in Tacoma, Washington, on the base at what was that called? Was it Madigan? Was it Madigan? Was that the name of the hospital my dad worked at? My dad was in the Army. He was a full colonel at that time, and he was running a hospital in Tacoma, Washington. Fort St. Louis, yeah, that's what it's in. And it was like Madigan Army Medical Center or something he was running. And then he retired at the end of my 5th grade year. But I remember in August, the teachers were on strike. And so school didn't start on time the day after Labor Day. We waited a couple of weeks, it seems like. I got a couple extra weeks of summer vacation. I remember that time, and I remember there was a Planet of the Apes cartoon on Saturday morning that started. And the greatest thing about living in Tacoma, Washington, the Seattle area, is on Sundays they ran 2 episodes of The Twilight Zone and an episode of The Outer Limits in the late afternoon. And I'd never seen those shows. I bought the Twilight Zone comic book from Gold Key, but I'd never seen the show. No place that I'd lived at before I was 10 ever aired that show. And boy, that blew my mind, those 2 shows.
All right, well, it's probably just something they're doing to be able to give everybody...
There's an episode of 8 Ball that was also given to me free. I'm not sure why. It must be a condition issue. No. Got a dinged corner. Yeah, Kevin bought a collection of good comics. A guy that read man's comics. He had Conan the Barbarian, a long run of Conan the Barbarian, a long run of Doctor Strange, stuff like this. It's where that Castle of Frankenstein came from. None of them were bagged and boarded. They were read. They were books that were read often. And he picked the comics that were kind of like what a real man would read. Conan the Barbarian, Doctor Strange, not the sissy comics. And I'm not 100% sure if I have this issue of 8 Ball, because I've slept a few times since the 1990s, but it doesn't look like this one's familiar. I should have every issue of this, because unlike most of the stuff coming out in the 90s, this was a great comic. This and Hate from Peter Bagg. This is 8 Ball number 7. This is November of 1991. Oh, there's a little bit of water damage to it too. Yeah, this was a collection that was never really meant to be sold. It was just a collection stuff to read. Anyway, the guy sold the collection, and so that's where I got that Doctor Strange number 1 that you'll see here in a minute. I'm opening these books for the first time. I did a show the other day where I took them out of the box, but I haven't opened them yet. This is a fake facsimile of Justice League of America 21. I'll never call them the Justice League. To me, I'll always say Justice League of America, because now they've officially taken of America off the title in DC Comics, which I don't approve of. But look at this great ad. The Space Age. DC does a good job putting this barcode on the back so it doesn't mar the front cover. Inside, they try to make the paper feel like newsprint, unlike that Archie facsimile I showed you that's, looks like National Geographic with really nice, slick paper. The only problem with it is the paper has a slight roll to it. But I don't know if you can even if that's something you can even perceive, but it's kind of got a wave to it. But some of the ads look a little muddy, like this ad. Some of the detail has been lost, and looks like the original comic they shot it from had a little bit of chocolate stain there that's been photographed, and they didn't care to digitally remove it. They have the original artwork, so the art is going to appear brand new, and then the ad looks a little muddy because they obviously don't have the original of that. So this is great stuff. I try to get every facsimile that comes out. This is like a dream. If only, I think that DC and Marvel, that's all they should do is just reprint their old stuff. They should completely stop even attempting to do new comics. There's no sense in it. They should just reprint the old stuff, and those little cardboard stand-ups they have in the gas stations and everything. They shouldn't be reprinting comics from the 2000s. They should be reprinting comics from this era, putting them out. But maybe I'm wrong. Maybe that wouldn't sell either. Here's a real comic, Action Comics 433 from the 20-cent era, in a very important time period for me. 20-cent era, when I was living in Virginia and San Antonio, was the 20-cent era, and this was when I really became a full-fledged comic collector. And this is in pretty good shape once you open it up. Page is very white. Let me see exactly when in the 20-cent era this came out. March of 74. So this is in the middle. So March, you got to go back 2 months. So January of 74, this came out. So this is the middle of my 3rd grade year. This is an ad for Daisy, and they're talking about maybe if you're responsible enough to clean up your bedroom, you'll get a BB gun. But I was always fascinated by the stuff on the floor. I believe that is a Dennis the Menace comic there. And then there's an issue of Mad there. I was fascinated by what comics this slob kid on his floor.
The number thing is now everywhere. I noticed it about 2 weeks ago. Okay, good. So it's not just us.
Yeah.
Everybody's got these numbers now. It's not just this show. So it's just a new policy they did to make everybody unique, and that's fine. Michael Susky says, good show today. Thank you very much. We're back up to 3,500 viewers.
Okay, another facsimile.
Star says, thank you, David.
This is a facsimile of Batman 47
Put into each Sunday's chat.
from the Golden Age of comics.
And anyway, we're doing great.
Of course, I can't afford comics from
This was a study that I linked to.
that time period. I can barely afford comics from today. But this is really cool. Ad for Daisy air rifles on the back. BB guns were still being sold in the early 70s, and this would be issue 47. This is probably from right about the time World War II ended. Let's see. Does it tell us? 48. A few years later. Look at that bike, man. Yeah, the paper, you feel the grit of, they're using actual real paper. Hopefully, I don't know. I don't know why this particular issue was, it has an origin of Batman. It might be the first Batplane. There's some reason why they do facsimiles of certain issues. But because that's important to the comic collectors of today. A lot of them only collect comics where something significant happens. They call them key issues, which is, I just don't like that term. But this is an origin, it has an origin story, so yeah, this is great stuff.
And the last woman to whom all females alive today can trace their mitochondrial DNA. So,
Okay.
if for some reason, as Bakapalo is asking, you go to divinecomics.com/.
Let me go get some more books for us to peruse.
But again, we really welcome and admire your super chats.
Yes,
Dr.
indeed.
Phil XR says Brian cites $7 a read.
Let's see how I'm walking now.
Mitochondrial DNA, and there were 7 groups. First goddesses. I hadn't heard that one before. That's pretty cool.
It's much better.
Okay. So, the migration of the people from Tiamat and Mars to the Earth is what they talk about in the Law of One. And they had outposts here, the ancient builder race going back for 2.6 billion years. Multiple cycles of civilization occurred on the Earth, with Atlantis only being the most recent. So when we're talking about the progenitors, Earth's moon was the crown jewel of their collection. This is something, again, that we were talking about before. This very, very fascinating concept. Multiple insiders have said that the moon is a huge build-out. It actually does function as a vehicle. William Tompkins mentioned this. I heard it from Uncle Jeff. I heard it from Pete
You heard this stuff about the moon, inside the moon. It's all
It's a very common thing that
like the Death Star, basically. It's all high tech inside there.
apparently what they would do is
Well, this is a book called Batman Unauthorized. All these sons of bitches that like to complain about Stan Lee,
send it backwards in time.
they never complain about Bob Kane, very, very rarely. Bob Kane was an asshole that really did nothing except come up with the name Batman and a crude drawing of him. Everything else was the Joker, the Bats, just everything was created by other people. Jerry Robinson, all his ghost artists, and then he'd always sign it. Stan Lee never, well, sometimes he did kind of say he created the thing solely, and he may have believed he did, but I don't think that Jack Kirby or Steve Ditko would have had success with those characters, or maybe not even done those characters if it wasn't for Stan Lee. And I can always see Stan Lee's writing. I could hear his voice, and the stories written by him were always, you could always tell they were written by him, as opposed to if you're reading an Ant-Man story that's not written by him, this doesn't have quite that same thing going on. I think Stan Lee, in his polishing and his dialogue and his selling of everything and piecing the worlds all together, I think people are giving him they're giving him too much of a raw deal. Okay. This is a comic called All American Men of War, although it's hard to see the title. Introducing the World War I ace who broke all the rules, Lieutenant Steve Savage, the Balloon Buster, in All American Men of War. This is also a comic that came from that collection that I said was from the kind of He-Man comic collection. This is the kind of, he had war comics in there too. But they're well read. I mean, to me, this is perfectly acceptable condition for a comic from that time period, the Go-Go Check era of DC. And I dearly love the war comics that came out. The GIs fighting dinosaurs, the Star Spangled War stories, the Enemy Ace stories, the Haunted Tank stories, later the Unknown Soldier, all these wonderful, oh wow. Look at this. Look at this, man.
Newly discovered
Look at this, I tell you.
sheds light
How sad for world's finest.
on mystery. Yeah, so somebody just, Dr. Powell just posted
Wow.
this link.
I can't wait to read this book. And this is something you never see reprinted. I could be wrong. I don't think this has ever been
Making that clear to everybody.
reprinted.
And that's one of the places you should go.
Looks a little like the Lone Ranger there.
So this is really weird, right? It's
Steve
like,
Savage.
why is it there? How do you get a square on the moon? Well, maybe it's because there's, again, a geometric superstructure under there.
There's some dog earring. See, a lot of dog earring that appears to happen. I guess since this collection is never bagged and boarded. This, yeah.
Hyperboreans, Lemurians, and Melanians before our age. Where did the progenitors and reptilians fit in this timeline?
The Hyperboreans.
The progenitors and the reptilians, I would say, are probably...
Aunt Farmad.
Teresa Dastrup says, this is very amazing, David. Thank you for sharing. Appreciate that. So then we also have the geometric pattern of the PKT border structures compared to Enceladus's
Ooh,
SPT.
I have that issue.
There again, Enceladus is the one that I showed you.
What a magical time, man. I have that issue.
Lines down in there. But again, this weird superstructure in the moon.
Oh, they have the little circulation thing.
Nature magazine. And notice that the
Data
steam
filing
engine
October
repairs
1st, 1965.
That's all very flat stuff. And it again suggests that there's some type of superstructure in there that we don't really fully understand.
Does it tell the circulation?
Best song right now says Ray D is Sweet Madam Blue, the 6-minute version by Styx. Hashtag America. Sunny Skies just donated $1. Thank you very much. There is an option to email on the website.
Yeah, it's just, I guess it doesn't.
Where you need to go for that. So here's
This
another
particular
thing
issue
that I
is
wanted to do.
March, April 66.
Square craters that were described by NASA.
Okay.
NASA's NEAR Shoemaker spacecraft spotted square-shaped
So,
craters on asteroid
that's what I'm out January of 66.
a telltale sign of mysterious goings-on in the asteroid belt long ago. In the pantheon of cosmic geometry, curves rule. Astronomy texts are filled with spiral galaxies.
Okay, this was strictly a cover by Kevin at Gotham City. Warned me, don't buy a comic just for its cover. That's stupid. And I said, yes, I know you're right, but it's Lilith, Dracula's daughter. And I remember buying the first appearance of Lilith, Dracula's daughter. I think it was called Giant-Sized Chillers when I was in 4th grade. How could I leave, it's a modern comic. What if Dark, the Tomb of Dracula? So it's some variant story of Tomb of Dracula. But these comics of today have these painted covers that trick you into buying them, and then the interior art is shitty, and the story is all a bunch of politically correct propaganda or just terrible. So, yeah, well, yeah, he's right. I just bought it. It's not what I remember from the 70s. It's just something about it. It just looks like it was drawn by a computer. In fact, I think if it was drawn by a computer, it would be better. The stuff that I've seen that's AI is far more creative than the stuff that's done by human beings that somehow created on a computer screen. I mean, I guess that's Santa Claus watching fire. Yeah, he's completely 100% right. This Blade, but look, he's got little elf ears. I don't know. Yeah, it's not good. But I'm stupid. But I do like the cover. Whoever drew that, painted that. But see, the thing is, if they could get this artist to paint the interior of the book and then get a decent writer, then you've got something. This is a book that everyone respects. I've still got a few more on hold. I don't think I'm currently pulling it because I was getting too many on hold, and I figure I can just get a collection of it. Then but then instead of individual issues. But this is a new Conan the Barbarian, and it's people are liking it because it looks like the old Marvel. And of course, here's a 2-page spread. This artist, holy smoke, what did he just do to that guy's head? It does kind of look like John Buscema's art. Holy smoke, man. Yeah, it's a little gorier than Marvel's. This paper feels really good. I've never felt anything quite this slick except on inside of a record album. Like when Star Wars came out in May of '77, before it came out in theaters, the soundtrack was released in stores, and I went to Fantasia Records and Tapes on Cooper Street in Arlington, Texas. I bought that Star Wars soundtrack for $5.99, probably a month before I saw the movie in theaters, and listened to that music over and over again. And by the time the movie came out in theaters, Marvel was already on issue 3 or 4 of the adaptation, so I knew what happened in the beginning of the movie. But yeah, see, that does look like a John Buscema Conan, but it isn't John Buscema. It's someone imitating John Buscema. Now, someone imitating John Buscema well, okay. If it's written well and someone's imitating John Buscema, is it okay? So what if there was a really good Elvis impersonator? They really sounded like Elvis and moved like Elvis, and then they did some new songs that Elvis didn't do. Then I guess that's equivalent to what, or a Beatles imitation band that really looks and sounds like the Beatles, and then they do their own music in the style of the Beatles, and it's like you're hearing new Beatles songs. Maybe that's, or did you just look at it as an imitation? I don't know what to think about it. People seem to be liking it. I've acquired some of these Conan issues new, but I haven't read them yet. I'm still got a lot of books I'm waiting to read. I'm waiting to get my eyes fixed, hoping that'll help. As reading, I just instantly fall asleep. I think I'll be still needing glasses close up even after my surgery. It's like there was an artist in the 90s that I liked, and he was doing Thor, named Ron Frenz, and he drew just like Kirby, but it was an imitation, but it was a good imitation. In fact, I think at that time period, he was doing Kirby better than Kirby was doing Kirby. But it's still an imitation, so I don't know. I don't know what to think. Here's an issue of Star Spangled War Stories. I was wanting to go through my Star Spangled War Stories comics today, but I don't know. Maybe I'll do that tomorrow. That requires me going upstairs. This is also from that guy's collection. So this is it's got not a lot of gloss left to it. Read many times. Well loved. From June, July 1968. This is a character I dearly love, Enemy Ace. This, it's a great World War I comic. This guy, he after missions, he'd go out into the forest, and his friend was this wolf. You are the only creature in the world. He would have a German accent. You are the only creature in the world I can talk to. and be understood. The only one who does not think of me as a human killing machine. We both hunt because we must. You for food, myself for my country, for my honor. Patience, my friend. We will soon be eating our evening meal together. Yeah, yeah. There's a World War One. You can still get away with making the Germans kind of likable. World War Two, it's a little harder. Although, the scene in Patton, where General Rommel, passes by this giant pen filled with American prisoners of war, and he salutes them, reminded me a lot of Enemy Ace. Rommel was very much one of these men of honor. Of course, he later would get into trouble for being a part of a conspiracy against Hitler, but there are yeah, there was something about the way his this kind of flared up, made him look kind of like a superhero, like the Wolverine or something. Of course, he predated Wolverine. This is a book I already had that I got because it was an upgrade, also from that same collection. My copy had a crease that went all the way down. So even though this isn't in great shape, and you can tell it was handled by someone that didn't wash their hands, this is in better shape than the one I had. And this is going to be a reprint, so the stories from the 60s. Man, I wish they would do reprints of the Rudolph. I wish they would put out a book that reprinted all the Rudolph comics from the 50s. Every Christmas they'd put out a Rudolph issue in the 50s. And in the 70s they would put out these treasury editions reprinting those old Rudolph stories. Beautiful stuff. Look at that. You can get your own Fonzie t-shirt. Hey! Yeah, that dates this book. Here's a bunch of the Power Records book and comic set. It's like they had my childhood bedroom bugged. They knew everything I was into, and they would make records of it. Fantastic Four and Captain America, Hulk, Beneath the Planet of all the Planet of the Apes. The only one they didn't do was Conquest of the Planet of the Apes, because that was pretty much nonstop fighting and violence. Maybe they just couldn't get away with that. And then when that came out on DVD, Conquest of the Planet of the Apes, they added scenes into that movie that were cut that I think would have gotten it possibly an R rating. Really violent scenes, like I think people getting shot in the head. So that's the movie where the apes first start to revolt against their human masters, and there's a riot in Los Angeles with the slave apes attacking until Caesar takes over and gives a speech at the end. This is the dawn of the Planet of the Apes. That was the last really good Planet of the Apes movie. Battle for the Planet of the Apes was kind of weak, kind of like a TV movie, and then there was a TV series that was okay. It was okay. And then there was a cartoon that was pretty good. It was more the Planet of the Apes. It was a different Planet of the Apes where they had cars and trucks and planes. And it was pretty good, and then I don't know. Then who cares after that? What's his face? What's his face, man? Mr. Gooley. What's his name? Gosh darn it, I can't remember anything, man. The guy that did Ed Wood and Pee Wee and Mars Attacks, like Tim Burton, Batman '89, did the Planet of the Apes movie that was so bad that I really never respected Tim Burton again after he did that Planet of the Apes movie. Just a piece of shit. Or a POS, as they like to say. My wife was trying to figure out one of those internet slang things last night. said BAU, and I had to look it up on. I said, "Oh, that stands for business as usual." She said, "Oh, I never would have known that, man. People expect you to know their stupid acronyms because they're too lazy to write out business as usual." What's going on, David?
So we see that the entire northern third of Africa was completely wiped out in this war. The Draco came in, blew the whole thing out. You can see that desert. It's the biggest desert on Earth. And they're telling me also that Egypt was the surviving highlands of the original civilization. There's tons of these artifacts under the desert, 40 to 400 feet down. Multiple insiders, again, confirming the military is routinely accessing these items. The insider Bruce said, "We never need to leave the Earth to find all this great stuff."
Man, there's nothing around here except the grocery store, and I was in there yesterday. My wife was doing Thanksgiving shopping. Man, we were in that store. We were in that store over 2 hours. I was standing. It was horrible with my plantar fasciitis on my feet, whatever that's called. It was really painful. And I've had a lot of pain afterwards, but today I'm not feeling much pain. Maybe I'm getting better, but while I was in there, I found this. It's a purple Batmobile. I guess that's purple. Should I leave it on the card? I mean, this is actually a nice card. Put down in the comments below. Would you leave this on the? I guess I'll leave it on the card. This one. Yeah, and then this one I bought. It's really stupid. I bought it because it says Hot Wheels, but it doesn't have any wheels. Seriously. I've never seen a Hot Wheels car before that has no wheels. There's no wheels. I don't even know how it moves. It just... What is it, a hover car? Can you explain what this thing is? It says Porsche 911 Carrera Clip. What is it, a car? Does it float on water? What is that? It looks... Or do I... Yeah, I don't understand. How is that a Hot Wheels car? Xpera Motors. Does it explain on the back? Fuel your imagination. Get those wheels turning and experiment with the world around you. Experiment with a Hot Wheels car that doesn't have wheels. Okay. Complete waste of money, of course. Purple Batmobile. Okay, man. This is an issue I've always wanted to have of Doctor Strange. Now I have it. Yeah, it's not in the best of condition, but again, it's from that guy's collection. And probably bagged and boarded for the first time by Kevin in its life. Okay, it actually has some gloss to it. A little bit of rust, but then it's almost as old as me, and I've got a little bit of rust myself, I guess. Yeah, the pages are white. Yeah, it's all right. Here's ads for these issues. Internally, it's okay. If I had a car from 1968 and it was in this condition, I think people would ooh and ah over it. Women just had better hair back then. Just big manes of hair. So in the future, we will do a deep dive again on giant skeletons, which many insiders... I'll make you a master of karate. Karate is the secret oriental art of hands, arms, or legs. No. I'm sorry, I read it wrong. It says karate is the secret karate is the secret oriental art of... And then you're supposed to go past that space. I was going down here to this. Self-defense. Oh, you know what it is? This would have said karate is the secret oriental art of deadly self-defense. Probably there was something like deadly, and they had to white it out because it's a comic book that's code approved. They took a word out. It turns hands, arms, or legs into paralyzing weapons without any bodily contact. In just 2 hours after you receive Super Karate, you will be on your way to being an invincible karate master at home this fast, easy picture way, or it costs you nothing. Only 99 cents. And you can paralyze people without touching them. Yep. Fantastic. Gil Kane, not long before Tomb of Dracula. This is when they gave him Acosta. They were desperate to sell Doctor Strange. Doctor Strange wouldn't sell. I don't know why. I think because Doctor Strange was mainly read by college students, and probably one would buy it and then it would get handed around in the dorm or around the commune or the love-in, whatever. And I think they were like Doctor Strange. I had some Dayquil earlier. Doctor Strange and Silver Surfer were popular, but they just weren't selling enough copies because I think the people that read them were kind of, no offense, but deadbeats. And, or just didn't have a lot of disposable income. And so this was Strange Tales, and they changed the name to Doctor Strange, and then they canceled it, and then they brought him back in Marvel Premiere in the very early 70s, and then they tried giving him his own comic, and that lasted for this one, and that lasted for a while. But one thing they did was try to give him like a superhero costume. I thought that would work. And then, in the very last death throes of this comic, this is 170 and this is 177. They had Spider-Man on the cover, and you couldn't even really see Doctor Strange on the cover. Whenever Marvel was desperate to sell a comic, they would bring Spider-Man in, either X-Men, Kazar, that I always call Kazar. Oh, this is the Marvel magazine comic that didn't sell very well because it was 35 cents, which is almost the price of 3 comics. This is issue 170 I'm looking at of Doctor Strange.
Please tell us what happened to Princess Kate. Is she alive? I don't know anything about Princess Kate, or that she might not be around. Jesus said, if they say I'm in the upper chambers, don't believe them. Do you think he's referring to...
I just love the design of that Fantastic Four shirt. They reprinted them in the 90s, I think. I got one then. Dan Adkins was the artist in this issue.
What do you think of the first wave of people ascending? Dominic Daisy asked that question. Well, it could be happening. It could be happening pretty soon. I mean, who knows? I think there's a lot of different factors involved in this, and it's pretty freaking cool that we're...
Okay, 170, 177, and then...
look, age of disclosure, okay, they might be steering the narrative.
Okay, then he came back in Marvel Premiere in the 20-cent era. Marvel Premiere number 10. This is one I was missing.
Thank you very, very much.
Yeah, this guy mainly had Doctor Strange and Conan and stuff like that. So if you're needing issues of Conan or Doctor Strange, you can contact Kevin Johnson at Gotham City Comics, because he just put a whole bunch out.
It's a good time for us, so we're very happy, and that's kind of how we roll around here. So
I remember this ad. The heaviest human on record weighed 1,069 pounds. It was buried in a piano case. I remember this ad. Savage Tales is back.
And so Marcy 13 just donated. Thank you very much.
This is
I'm happy that you guys are here with me today. It's been great. It's been really fun to do this show.
Frank
Very
Bruner,
selfish advice has been to
who
post
started
that.
as a fan artist.
Brett J says, just do you, Dave. Great show,
And
good times, great audience. I love you guys. I mean it seriously. I really do love you. What do you think about the
I
first
always
chapter?
loved
And
his
it's
art.
that
There
rule.
was a story in
9,000 years
Monsters
of overcoming.
Unleashed,
There's nothing
maybe
as
number
much about
2,
Dove Eve. I hadn't heard that one.
phenomenal sword and sorcery story that I think was reprinted from his fan
All good
days.
stuff.
Um,
Happy to be here. Happy that you guys are here with me. We've had a great
there's just
show.
nothing like
3.5
this
hours
guy,
is
man.
not as long as they tell
I
me really ever want to do one. So we're kind of coming
ultimately,
up.
what happened to
Let's
him?
work on our meditation. We'll do a
People
nice
like Mike
meditation
Plug.
here.
Mike Plug, I think, went into the movie industry
So
with doing pre-production art for movies. But what happened to Frank Bruner? I need to look him up in his career. But I mean, in this era of the early Bronze Age, Frank Bruner is just one of the greats. There were so many young artists then. Neil Adams was the most famous, but there was Frank Bruner and Mike Plug, and oh man, so many. Okay, and then Doctor Strange #1.
place of stillness. Resides within. As years, decades, centuries,
I have Doctor Strange #2 and up a bunch, but there's some. This one I didn't have, and there were a few other issues I was missing from my run that I'm gonna get with the next order, or as when my wife calls up to make my Christmas order. Wow. I remember that issue of Crazy, and I get so much thrills just looking at the ads. At this point, we're in the 25-cent era, and they have these value stamps, which they encouraged you to cut out of the comics. I've never really seen any of these gold medallions they used to sell. They're not really claiming they're gold, are they? What do they say? They never use the word gold, do they? No, they say solid bronze. Oh. And they're selling them for $2.50 each. I guess that's cool. Bronze from the Bronze Age. But no one was calling it the Bronze Age then. When did they first start calling the 60s the Silver Age? I wonder when was, I'll have to look that up too. When was the first documented time that some referred to that time period as the Silver Age? Of course, we still have Frank Bruner doing the art. And then, because no one knew it was the Bronze Age. You know, it's like World War I, you know, on Armistice Day, when the war ended, the newspapers didn't say, World War I ends, because they didn't know it was World War I. They didn't know that they didn't know there was going to be another World War. They called it the Great War. Or they would just say the war ends, the war to end all wars, I think it was also called. And then when World War II started, man, less than 20 years later, my father was a young guy, and he's probably in 7th grade this when World War II starts, in a Catholic school, and the nun teacher said, this isn't a new war. This is just a continuation of the other war. The war never really ended. And she was really right, but that became World War II. At what point did they first start calling it World War II? Were they calling it World War II during World War II? Because how do you really know? You don't have the sense of history yet because the war hasn't ended. And now some people are calling the Cold War World War III. And they're saying we're currently in a war. It's World War IV. I don't know. Ultimately, you need time to pass before you can really No, okay, here's issue of The Incredible Hulk I didn't have, 104, also from this guy's collection. The colors on this are beautiful. And that's going to be because Marie Severin's doing it, you know. That's this black and white line art is great, but the colors, and of course the black and white line art is Marie Severin. Yeah. Oh, I love Marie Severin. Wow.
All living together, all experiencing
What the hell?
what it means to
Look at how
survive
great
human, to be
that
radiant,
looks.
glorified beings. We can live in that compassion, live in that grace, live in that glory, live in that remembrance.
Marie Severin
of
artist.
what we really are and how we came to arrive here on earth.
Yeah,
Based upon the gender groups.
I really love her work on Not Brandak, but I love everything she does.
We embrace the mystery. We embrace
There's the Rocket Blast comic collector ad for a fan magazine.
So much that we can explore as we take it step by step, day by day.
Now you can be taller instantly. They're selling lifts for your shoes. Psychedelic light shows. Comic books. Thousands of old comic books for sale. Timely's, Marvels, DC, Fawcett, Charlton, etc., etc. Send $1 for big new list. Comics also bought. F.L. Booza. He's in Plover, Wisconsin. There's the Robert Bell ad. Robert Bell invented the comic book bag. Man, can't tell you how much that decal there, the skull with flames, with it looks like a bullet hole in its top of his head. That's one of the. If I was ever to get a tattoo, I'd probably get that thing. No, I don't know. I wouldn't get a tattoo. Why would I intentionally put myself through that much pain? I'm scared enough about this surgery coming up week after next.
More patient in our everyday lives. Knowing that there's always times where we could be angry.
He's doing his meditation at the end, so his show's about to be over. David Wilcock here. Okay, so these books we've looked at.
The true nature of the self, the true nature of consciousness and the soul, and affirm our own lives, our own protection.
Yeah. Yeah. You ever watch the Hodge twins? Yeah. Yeah, the Hulk, yeah.
We're here to be with one another. We're here to glorify. Sent me some interesting prototype shots.
All right.
I didn't want to do so much of this like really long.
I'm covering my mouth so you won't get sick. See what a nice guy I am.
Meditation is a good place to do that. So, yeah, that was cool. In the name of Yeshua the Victorious, so will it be, says Dr.
All right.
Thank you very much.
I also got this book, reprinting World War II Captain America stories. It's Captain America Volume 4.
That's right. This is amazing, David. I don't mind if you do a guided meditation. I can buy from you. This was very powerful. Thank you, David.
So
Thank you.
it reprints the ads, everything.
3,000 viewers right now. This is a gathering place for sure, says IFC.
This is
Or here, I guess. And,
fantastic.
So again, let's
And this is
take the energy that we raised, send to all those in need of prayer and healing in the world.
first printing 2010.
Let's heal the wars. Let's try to raise
So this
that
book's
vibration.
15 years old.
Let's feel the consciousness moving through everyone and creating the healing that we need on planet Earth. We always want
Kevin had this in his store forever and no one ever bought it.
invoke that as well in the name of Jesus. Thank you very much.
But he's got so much cool stuff in his store, you know, I guess you can't get everything.
Says, thank you, David. You are the best. Happy Thanksgiving to you all. Venus Renata says, thank you so much, David. We love you. Eric Goodian says, thanks to all you do, David.
this is just remarkable because it would look like they had the original artwork.
Emily Howard,
Um,
Thanksgiving. M. Shingidi says he donated, says, David, you should really consider creating a guided meditation. Debbie 13, thank you for another great show, David.
I don't think that they've redrawn it. It looks too good. It just looks too good.
Kiko the Inevitable says, great show. Lewis, are you still off of weed? Yes, I've been completely sober for months now. Sometimes I miss it, but not enough to want to relapse. So anyway, we're doing
And
great
for the
here.
young allies,
I didn't know that. Somebody got kicked off. But anyway.
as I said the other day, these are stories that will never be reprinted again, never. So it'd be good for me to seek out the other volumes of, I don't know how many volumes they did of these 40s issues, but obviously normal people cannot afford these original comics. It's just not possible. You know, you'd spend thousands and thousands of dollars. So this is the way to read them. And I'm hoping to spend Christmas time going through these books and oh man, what are you doing? Reading these books, talking to the cat. That will be fun, because hopefully by then I'll be recovered from this cataract eye surgery. So
that's just what you say when you want to end the show as a director.
this is Bloom, something my wife started asking me to get. 0% sugar, sparkling energy. I don't know what it is that gives you the energy. Total fat, 0 sodium, 0%. Total carbohydrates, less. No, what does that mean? Greater than 1%? What's in this? See, I can't read that. Ugh.
We've had a lot of conversations about people pinching pennies, but someone, somewhere, had $9 million to spend for the original first edition of the Superman comic. Talk about being a fan. I'm going to bring in Lon Allen, the Vice President of Comics for Heritage Auctions. This is pretty awesome. Think you're on mute.
Moron.
Okay, I can hear you now.
Okay, sorry. Keeps muting me. Yeah, just so exciting. Just an amazing day. Set the world record by a huge amount. The previous record was $6 million, and this sold for 9.1.
So tell me about this edition, this first edition. What should people know about it who aren't going to have it personally?
Sure. So it is Superman #1. It's graded a 9.0 on a 1 to 10 scale. So it is the very finest copy ever found, ever graded, and a heck of a lot of buzz about it. And it came out of an attic. It's been sitting there since 1939.
So when you say a grade for it, does that mean it was like kept in pristine conditions?
It really was. That's the amazing thing. It just sat in an attic in San Francisco, untouched, and it ended up being just literally almost perfect, a 9 on a scale of 10.
Wow. Okay, so my producer over here sees Superman behind you. Is that it? What we're talking about?
But this is the catalog that we produced for it. So yeah, that was it. Superman #1 at 9.0, finest known. We produced an entire catalog just for the one book. So yep, that's it. 9.0, almost perfect.
Tell me about what You said it sold more than the $3 million more over your previous record. What sold for $6 million before?
So last year in the spring, we sold a copy of Action Comics #1, which is the first.
If you had $9 million,
and just a slightly lower grade,
think about what you could buy. You could be living in a castle.
Find the #1, so that probably held it back just a
The
little
type
bit.
of property you could buy in Los Angeles, something owned by
Wow! Oh my goodness!
one of the great
Tell me a little bit about
movie stars.
how you
Well,
go
I
about
don't know.
finding these items. Do people contact you, or how do you go about collecting these items?
Sure, we're by far the largest
Well,
collectibles auctioneer, and we're the largest in the United States. We do about $2 billion a year.
I'm done.
And so
I have
people
done. I have nothing else to say. Nothing else to say.